Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Generational Health. Hello, my dear, my co-host, Miss Whitney. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I've been getting on the treadmill here for like an hour, so I've been walking miles each day. It's been helping, so I feel good. My
Oh my
legs are sore,
gosh.
but I feel good.
How did we get on the same page without knowing? Because I took a challenge, and I'll tell you all about the challenge. But I want to remind you: don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, stay to the end because you know what? In these conversations, a whole lot of surprises pop up, and we just get warmed up midway through. So stay to the end. But anyhow, wanted to talk about. Oh my goodness! And here's a surprise too. I've been doing a challenge. They did a challenge on Facebook with some of my cousins, and they did the squat challenge, the push-up challenge, and the leg lift challenge. And oh my God, I met some parts of my body I didn't know existed until they woke up and started to burn. I was like, oh, and I was wondering, and I was laying in bed and I was sore, and I was like, man,
Mhm.
why is this hurting and why is that hurting? And I was like, because you're paying attention to your form and you're paying
Mhm.
attention to, like, sometimes we exercise. Quick lesson here: we exercise and we push, like we do instead of like actually concentrating on those muscles that you're moving. And I learned that, and I was like, oh, you're doing good. So yeah, by the summer, watch out, y'all.
Your son would be so proud of you for the entire explanation of what you just said. That's what he focuses on. And when we're training clients all the time, he's like, "Did you feel it? You weren't focused on the muscle. You weren't focused on the muscle." Like when people come back and they're like, I wasn't sore. You were just moving weight. You weren't really focused on the muscle. You weren't focused." So he'd be very proud of you, the fact that you articulated that so clearly.
And tell him that I'm not playing with him. We must schedule some time together because everybody, I want to introduce you to Trainer Travis.
Mhm.
I want to introduce you to him. And that segues us into our topic for today. We are talking about fathers because, as you know, Father's Day is coming up. And I think it's a great topic because we don't always take the time out to honor fathers. We take them for granted. Sometimes we overlook the things that they do for us out of just love and just wanting the best for us. Sometimes because fathers are always seen as to be the disciplinarian, the one in that arena, that we don't just stop and really give them their just due, their respect and their honor. So from me today to all of our fathers, big hugs and kisses. And I just think that you are so phenomenal. And thank you for the fathers that step up and actually step into their role as leaders. And so when we talk about Trainer Travis, yeah, I'm gonna talk about him today. I stalk his page. I stalk your page. I just love, love, love his everything that he pours into his baby girl. And I think she's going to have such I know she's going to have such amazing memories of my daddy. And she also, I seen him with her on his shoulders because he just wanted her to see the ocean from that view. See, oh, I do my work. I do my homework, right? We're not in the same area. So we don't get a chance to be a total part of each other's lives. So, that's just, that's wonderful to me. So that's the part of social media that I love.
Yeah. I think I have my phone. I had to buy more storage in my phone for pictures, and I realized most of the pictures do not have me in them. They're mostly either Zoe or Travis or Zoe and Travis. And I have maybe 10, 20 pictures of myself. I have thousands of pictures on my phone, literally. And I go back ever so often and I just scroll all the way to the beginning. I got my phone around, I think I got this phone around the time Zoe was born. So I scroll all the way up to the beginning and I literally like look through all the pictures from us like being in the hospital and them telling us, "Oh, you're not going back to work today. Like you're gonna have a baby today." And like his expression on his face and excitement, like I was just snapping pictures from the hospital bed to like him holding her, after she was born. And just I just sit there and I progress and I just scroll all the way through, the most recent picture I've taken. And I'm just so grateful for him and for them and for their relationship and for the pieces of me that have been healed, being able to watch their relationship unfold. It is one of the most beautiful things ever to like see.
And that's a prayer answer for me, because I wanted you to be able to experience that. Travis is a actual prayer answer for me, because what a mom really wants is for the type of man that he is to come into her daughter's life and to actually help her daughter to, either heal wounds or, just to be the best that she can be by being the best and offering the best of himself. And I listened to Dear Future Wifey podcast, and it's called Purpose Partners is what he calls them. And I think you all are one of the prime examples of what a purpose partner is. You all help bring out the best in one another. And, I think sometimes people think of perfection, and we're not talking about perfection. We're talking about honesty and truth and growing together. And that's what I've seen over the years, ever since the day that he actually came to me, you all, and asked me for my daughter's hand, And so, because, we'll talk about it, and we talk openly in transparency. Your dad has not been a part of your life. And so, you know, um, for him to come to me and ask me for your hand. And I still remember when you jumped up and down and almost knocked him through the patio door when he asked you. I remember all this stuff. Some of it I remember, but that's just, again, was the beginning of an amazing journey. And as like again, the father that I see him, being to Zoe and the way that you all are, I just think it's just phenomenal. And what a wonderful way to start our segment out on Fathers today.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate him being able to like have the confidence to actually ask you and having like he probably was shaking in his boots, but still to like actually ask you um for my hand and like to start our whole family journey to, get us to where we are now. I don't know, I'm very, very grateful that God like did what he did to like he saw me fit to put me in a position to like experience the life that I have now, like with my
Oh,
husband and being able to be a father for my daughter and like all the love they have for each other. And just, it's so cool, like sitting there and just, because you see this big man, this fatherly big man, and you see this little bitty girl. um, and then, when we have moments where he needs to like discipline her through words or whatever, and it's like, okay, when she's awake, was that too harsh or what? Like we'll have those conversations. Or was that too
mm,
much? Should I ease off? Was that enough? And we have those conversations with each other. And I just think that that's so healthy.
mm-hmm,
It's super
mm-hmm.
healthy. And I think it speaks volumes to like fathers in general. I just wonder how many other fathers out there like have those conversations with their wives and that intentionality of like, okay, was that too much? Should I ease off a little bit? And not just, I'm just grateful for those type of fathers that are very present and very aware of the weight of their words and like their presence.
I think that's a great point when you said, for fathers, the weight of their words, because, you know, that's something that daughters, they yearn for. And even when they're small and they don't even know it, there's a study that was done about the fathers that are actually present in their daughters' lives, and even the fathers that are in the homes, how it chemically has a chemical type of a cellular, I want to say there's a cellular uh, transaction that goes on between a father and a daughter, and that bonding. So it's even deeper. And it also, the father is the first person to teach a daughter, how a man should actually treat her. So if he's treating her with kindness and with gentleness, but also with the leadership, positioning, then he's teaching her that this is what you should expect when you go out in the world. So therefore, her self-esteem is intact. Her picker, if you will, is on point, because she
Yes.
knows, hold on, my daddy never used those words with me. She
Yeah.
already knows this in her brain. This is something wrong. So he's
Yeah.
implanting those things in her, and so I love it. And, and I think what you opened up to is sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. So even some of the men that actually watch our podcast is, wait a minute, maybe there is something that, you know, maybe I do need to ask about this, or because sometimes people just won't ask, and I applaud them again. You know, we're using Trainer Travis today as our model father, so he's getting the model father award today. And I want to add this. You know, made a pretty good baby there. She's really really cute. You know, she's really really cute. But just again celebrating and honoring our fathers. You know, there's a lot of men that, I don't want to even like call off names, but some of the men that we know, like our cousins, some of just some great men that actually stand in that role and take care of their children. It's just amazing to me, you
Yeah,
know. And I think on the flip side of that, when you don't have a strong father in your life, there's some healing and some things that you actually, there's an added layer other than just regular life and life's journey. There's an added layer of issues that we peel off. But I just want the ladies to know, even the ones that don't know their father or haven't, had a strong relationship with their father, you can I always advocate therapy because you can identify what those issues are and you don't have to stay in the midst of, that missing component. You can actually heal from it and move forward.
absolutely. I think that there's almost an awareness in the back of your mind when you grow up without your father of like of like something being off with your interactions with men or men in authoritative positions or just men in general, like when you're trying to establish some type of relationship, professional, personal, whatever, like there's something off back there and you can feel it. You don't necessarily know what it is, but there's an awareness of like either, and this is my experience, and I can't say it's the experience of every, daughter who did not have a father growing up, but I could always tell that there was like this performance, like where I was always trying to perform in a relationship with any kind of man. And I didn't know why that was there. I could feel it at the time. I couldn't name what it was. It was just like this, this feeling compelled to do more, to get recognition, or um, to feel wanted, or to feel like you're worth sticking around for. Like that's just there. And I think that you bringing up therapy is a great, just a great suggestion or recommendation, because that's where I was able to like name that feeling and like work through that feeling and like dig up the root of what that was and be able to like identify what was really happening and like what my worth was, regardless of the circumstances or situation where there was an absent father. Like my worth as an individual, my worth as a child of God, my worth as like someone worthy of being loved just because I'm here on this planet. Like I was able to work through some of those things. And I think it helped because I also had a faith-based therapist. So
Oh,
that
absolutely.
helped kind of connect me, my faith, and like actual, behavior therapies and all that stuff intertwined. So it was really helpful for me. But it's like kind of trying to figure all that stuff out on your own when you can't even name what's going on. It makes it very challenging.
And so I want everybody to lean into what you said about, about your self-worth and about, and I want especially single moms to listen. But sometimes we don't listen. We're steady talking and talking and we're not hearing, because I was the type of mom that, because my self-esteem was damaged when I was younger, that I felt that I had to pour everything that I thought would help my children to have self-esteem or high self-esteem. So that was one of my focal points. But the piece that was missing was the male energy in the house, the male role model, the father, that connection. And a lot of women say, well, and I used to say it too, okay, I'm the mom and the dad, or I'm the mother and the father. But I think when we have that notion, it's a misconception, because we as women don't know how to fulfill that role as a male. We only go by what we think. So when I would grab your hand as a little girl and say, look, like I couldn't understand why she was like missing him so much, and he was not there. I couldn't understand. As a single mom, I couldn't grasp that. And I think by me not addressing that, it harmed my child, my daughter, because it didn't allow her to freely be in the moment that she was in without her feeling like or guilt that it's impacting me. So when we really say that we are looking at the betterment of our daughters, of our children, is to actually attack the issues that are there and not try to, like say, I tried to push her through it and say, look, we have an iron. Look, be grateful. And it wasn't that she wasn't being grateful, that I didn't get that then. Until later years, I got it. It's not that you're being ungrateful. It's that you're yelling in silence that this piece is missing. I need help with this. I don't know how to work through this. The feeling is there. And I think sometimes we shame folks in our children or other people. We shame them when they feel a certain way, because we feel like, no, you should be grateful. You have this cup, you have this iron, you have a roof over your head, you have a mama that does everything that she can do for you. And you're yelling this from the ceiling and you're not really addressing the issue. It's not taking anything away from you. And I'm saying this and emphasizing it because, I was guilted with my mom about certain things. And I now understand what that feels like. It's not taking anything away from the mom. Moms, you're amazing. You're wonderful. But as mom, as single mom, we can't be mom and dad. We can provide and be a provider. We can be a nurturer. We can love. We can do those things. But there's still a piece that we need to address in our children, because they're a makeup of two.
Yeah, that is so, I think what you're saying is really profound, and it really resonates. And it made me think of, I was reading a newsletter for where Zoe is going to school. And one of the volunteers there gave a story about how his daughter, when she was small, was afraid of the dark, and how he would always try and push her through that. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of, like, da, 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 until he realized, like, no, I need to acknowledge her feelings. I need to acknowledge what she's experiencing in the moment in order for her to work through it. And so he sat there with her and he was like, it must be really hard to be afraid of the dark. And she said, but I'm going to be okay. And so that, like, just that moment of like him acknowledging her feelings and just being present allowed her to then process what was happening in the situation, even as a little kid, and say, okay, but I'm gonna be fine. Like, I think it made me think of that because as I was working through therapy, one of the things that we eventually got through, after we kind of worked through, not necessarily part of the experience is kind of going back to those memories to be able to like dig through them and stuff, lots of tears, all that stuff. But in that particular circumstance, that the situation that happened that you're talking about that we had, I remember that moment. I was like hugging the leg of a chair. I was so upset. And what therapy helped me with was not just reliving the upset, but reliving the awareness of the fact that you were there. And for me, it was like, but she was there. Like, all the times that he wasn't there, she was there. And so I think something for moms is like, if you're trying to figure out, like, how do I help my kid through this? A lot of it is just being there, like just being consistent and just being there. And like acknowledging the feel. See, I'm getting a little watery.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. We're working through this.
Being there, acknowledging the feeling. It sounds too simple to do, just being there and acknowledging the feeling, but it really is like the best thing is to just be present. It kind of creates this safety of like, okay, mom's not going anywhere and she gets it.
Yeah. And that's something that parents that we as parents, we need to like, if we understand that, then we can even be more impactful with our children. And so I think in that moment, my lesson now in hindsight is that instead of being there, yes, I was going to, that was my commitment, but also not badgering, but like, you know, because I'm a cleric personality. I'm a cleric, melancholy, literal person, guys. Oh, my Lanta. I fight with myself all the time, okay? But it's like being there in that moment, but also not, like I said, not badgering or not trying to drill in. Like, why can't you see that I'm here? She just acknowledged that she did know that I was there, but that wasn't the issue. We missed the issue. That's so sometimes in communication we're off, even with our partners or whomever, is because we're fighting to be right. We're not fighting to actually come to a resolution. We're fighting to get the other person to see our point. Stephen Covey says, it's to seek to understand, seek to understand before being understood. Because sometimes in our understanding of it, then we actually get the understanding. It's like, okay, so wait a minute. If I had heard in the moment, I just miss my dad and I don't understand why he's not present, then I wouldn't have been badgering saying, be grateful for the light. Okay, I am grateful for the light, but that's not this issue, Mom. Be grateful for, I said, for the air that we breathe. I was just like all over the place because I was at my wit's end, not understanding not why you're not grateful. But that wasn't the point. I missed it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to come back and say that. I missed that. You know?
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, and apologizing for it. I'm apologizing for missing it in that moment. But I'm so grateful that we have the opportunity now to talk about it, to heal it, and to move on and to share it with other people. Because even though that moment for us has passed, but for some people, they're still in that moment. Some moms that are watching the podcast are saying, I don't know what to do. My baby girl is crying for him and I can't work it out with him. He won't be that father that I need for him to be. He's taking out his pain that we're not together on the child. So what do I do as a mom? As a mom, you're there.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think it's also important to not tear down, because, and this is hard, and I think people may disagree with me on this, and that's fine. But I truly believe that everybody, I won't say everybody because I know that there's some, but most people, I'll say most people, that sounds safer. Most people don't wake up with ill intentions, especially towards their kids. Most people. So as a kid, you don't get that. You don't understand that. If someone doesn't show up, they lied to you. If someone says they're going to show up, they didn't show up, they lied to you. That's just what it is. It's plain and clear. But I think as an adult, I now understand that most people don't wake up with an ill intention. I don't believe my father woke up every day like, how can I disappoint my daughter? That's not what it was. I think most people show up in life as best they can in the moment with the circumstances that they have, the knowledge, experience, background, dysfunctions, like family things that have been passed down. Most people show up to the moment with the best that they have in that moment. And I realized that as an adult in terms of both of my parents. So like, I don't have any now at 33, I don't have any like resentment or ill will or anything like that, because I realized my father, he showed up how he could. And that for some people, they're like, no, he could have did better. He could have did this. He could have did that. In the moment, he literally did what he had capacity to do with all of the stuff that's attached to his life. And that's what it was. And I believe the same thing for you as my mom. In that moment where you were telling me, we have this, we have that, that was you showing up with everything that was on your plate, with all of your love for me, with all of your experiences, with all of your childhood, with all of your faith. That was you showing up and being the best you could have been for me in that moment. And so as an adult, I completely realized that kids don't get it. Most kids don't get it. But me, I think once I got that revelation, that's where a lot of the like, I don't have any grudges or anything. It's just like, we're all just showing up as best we can. And sometimes we jack other people up based on like the fact that this is how I showed up. But I don't
Yes.
think it's a ill intention. And I think that's the part that is really healing for me. Like when I realized that my parents weren't out to harm me or to hurt me. They were just showing up as best they could as human beings, how they could in the moment. And I'm grateful for the entire experience because it crafted me into who I am.
And that is so important. And when we go back into naturopathic medicine, the five principles of healing, the one principle of healing is one, come out of fear. And number two is be forgiven. And that number two, being forgiven, I never understood what that was. And I'll give the five principles. It's come out of fear, is be forgiven, is to cleanse the body, nourish the body, and oxygenate the body. So those are the five principles of healing. But I never understood the first two, but especially number two. I didn't understand when, Tyler Perry's Medea would always say, you got to forgive. The forgiveness is not for you. It's not for them. It's for you. And I never understood that till I really understood what toxicity is. And toxicity is not just the foods that we eat or the water that we drink or contaminants. It's actually the emotion, because that biochemical reaction that's going on in your body when you have bad feelings towards somebody, it tears you up.
Yep.
And so that's the kicker right there. That's the piece that people don't always share. People don't always tell you. What do you mean? See, I'm literal and I'm not abstract. So when you tell me something abstract, it's like, wait, that does not make sense to me. So please give me more. Please explain to me, how does me forgiving that person, how is it for me? Now I understand. Now I can practice it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to practice that which I really don't understand because I'm not a follower. I'm a leader. So I need to understand. And sometimes my needing to understand gets me into trouble. It did as a child. I was always misunderstood because I was questioning things. And as a child in my family, you were to be seen and not heard. And so by me being heard, I'm the rebel. I'm the, the smarty pants, if you will. But now I understand why I was so misunderstood. And like you said, oftentimes when we get a good understanding, that is like gold.
Yeah.
That's the ticket. And that's why we go back to the fathers that communicate with their children, like the way that I see Travis. And I don't often get an opportunity to, express to him the gratitude that I have, and the adoration and the respect that I have for him for stepping up as a young man. When you all got married young, as a young man, stepping into that role of a husband, and then into a father, and then into a leader. I give him so much respect, and I love that because he's a model for other men. I cannot not acknowledge my son Trayvon, who has two sons, and he steps up in their lives, and he takes care of them. And the same thing, here we go with my sons Charles. I have to say, he pours into his daughter, he pours into his son. So I have to give much respect to the fathers. Oh, here I go, Cecil, I have to Sherrod, Mr. Michael Matthews, Mr. Andy Salandy, and any men that I have not talked about, that I've forgotten. But there are so many wonderful, amazing men that that do step up. And then I think that we should kind of just flip that switch and stop so much honing in on the don'ts, and applaud the do's and applaud the things. Because like you said, we're all human and we're just showing up the best that we can. And I'm just excited as we continue to go and as we continue to grow, in and it's just continue to go and grow. I just think that giving respect and due to our fathers is an absolute must.
Absolutely. I think it's something that when you talked about forgiveness as well, I think when you do have forgiveness and you work through those issues, it opens the door for like this almost overwhelming gratitude and gratefulness. Because I think about, I may not have had my father in my life, but the men that God sent my way, like they were there exactly when I needed them. Like my grandfather was there my entire life. Um, he was the most amazing man. That's the one that'll get me to cry. Like
I'm so glad you brought him up, because we can't do a show without talking about
Granddaddy.
Mr. Carl Benson.
Papa. Yes. He like my memories of granddad are like him. Sorry. Can
That's
you hear
okay.
the
It's
siren?
okay. They're,
My
they're saluting the
memories,
dads.
yes, of granddad are me being a kid in Detroit, like at their apartment, him sitting on the floor. I don't know how he did it, wrapping his legs and arms together like a pretzel and rolling around on the floor with me, like in the middle of the car. Whose granddad does that? Like, I remember him doing that. I remember him like clasping his fingers together and like just wowing me, making trumpet sounds and like just doing all these things that I just thought were so cool as a kid. Like even down to, the his last days here, him having dementia. I remember I would still try and like make the most out of every conversation. And I was like, dementia is not to be played with. But seeing the glass half full was like, granddaddy was always excited whenever I told him anything about my life. So I could tell him the same thing multiple times, and every time I would get the same like excitement and celebration, love. I don't know how many times I told him I was getting married, like just
That's
all the
awesome.
things. And so I just, granddaddy was there literally up until I
Yes.
got married, where my husband stepped in. And
Yes.
then, like, so he's been here ever since then. My uncle, we used to fight over the remote at grandma's house. And,
Yeah,
but
we
he
have to
was,
honor him.
I was his,
You,
almost, the women at the mall thought I was his, baby.
they
But
thought all my children were his. I got fussed at the mall for saying that they weren't. The twins weren't his. Like, no, that's my brother. So folks know him, and yeah, I have to, I have AB, because he keep telling me, don't be calling me whatever else, his other name.
mhm,
But he was like, yeah, so I have to honor him. He takes care of his children. Like I said, you can't leave any of the men out that are in your circle that are just like doing so. Just ladies, honor them. And like you said, you honored granddaddy. He was so funny. It's the last memories that I can think of him is walking into their apartment, after his dementia just went totally, there. But he remembered mom, the love that they shared. He remembered her. And I remember him giving her a horseback ride. And he was in full blown dementia then. I was like, what are they doing? But that was and I'm so happy that memory is just pasted in my mind of what the love that they shared and their amazing love story.
yeah,
Our time comes so quickly, and we're down to the last couple of minutes, but this has been wonderful, just reminiscing and thinking about the wonderful men, and there have been others. So if I've forgotten to mention you, it's not my heart, it's my head. You know what you mean to me, and I appreciate you. And I just want, for me, just, happy Father's Day. And it's not just to be celebrated on one given day, but just throughout the entire year.
absolutely. I would say the same. Fathers get, and my husband pointed this out to me when my daughter was born, but fathers, there is a lot of emphasis on moms and Mother's Day. And we do some good work, mamas. We do some good work. It's well deserved. But I don't think fathers get recognized enough. And fathers are the backbone of the family. Like they're literally the structure of the family that kind of holds it together in its security. Um, and I think that we should just do a better job as a people acknowledging the role as fathers, like, and celebrating fathers for being present. And like we talk a lot about the dads that aren't there, but we need to talk more about the dads that are there, and we need to celebrate them, and we need to love on them, and like not just get them, I don't know, a gift card on Father's Day, but like, love on them throughout the year. They matter so much. So much.
I think that's a very good point. And I'm going to piggyback on that by saying they matter so much. So fathers, just know you matter so much. So with that being said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with someone else. Share this information with a dad. Maybe he just needs to hear how much he's appreciated today and throughout the whole year. Stay fearless. Bye for now.
Bye.